Alright, hey, how's it going? So you said in your description here that you kind of struggle with getting ganked normally, and also that you could have roamed more. And maybe the last 10 minutes weren't that useful, but we're gonna have a look at it. So the way this is gonna work, I'm just gonna look over your VOD, and then at the end of it, I'm gonna write down a bunch of stuff here, and I'll send this to you on Fiverr, and also you can just copy at the end. And I'll explain kind of in detail. So you're playing Akshan versus Kayle. This is a matchup where you can punish quite hard early, but like she does scale very well. But to be honest, you scale well too, just not as good as Kayle. So let's kind of see kind of like how you play this lane, whether or not you could have run more and stuff like that. So first off, like yeah, you definitely don't need to worry about ganks as much this game, because they have like Mundo Kayle. But maybe I'll be able to see like what you do with your wards and stuff, that it kind of won't lead to that. Okay. In my opinion, this is your first mistake. So I think when you're versus Kayle, Kayle in the early game is like super weak, right? The only way Kayle can win a trade early is if you're literally on top of her and she can spam auto attacks on you, right? And also the only way Kayle can farm early is by using her E. So that means like Kayle really wants the wave to crash under her tower. I think here you actually don't order the wave at all, and I think you can start E as well. And I think what you would do is like when she comes up to use her E for this creep, you can put an order on her to make sure your E targets her, and then you can E her. And as long as you don't... Oh, she started... Wait, no, she did start E. Okay. So what should have happened here, basically, she E's this creep, you auto attack her once, and then you E off this, and she'll take maybe about 30% of her health and damage. So that would be very nice. You still get a pretty decent trade with your Q, so I don't really mind that. But the problem is you did give up a lot of... Did you give up CS for it, or did you just miss them? Let's see. That CS, kind of unlucky. You cancelled that one. Okay, so you missed 3 CS here for basically nothing. I think like... I don't know, like you probably already realized this, but CS is really important, especially against the scaling champion, because like if you go even CS versus scaling champion, you're really far behind. So like I think you would probably normally get all these CS, but it's just kind of a weird situation. But it's a very big issue really. I'm not sure if that's really something you need to fix, because it might not happen that much more, but just like be aware of it, I guess. Okay, so you're standing close to the creeps to CS them. You've missed a lot of them though. Okay, you are missing a lot. Let's hope this improves, or am I gonna have to go a bit crazy on you? So in my opinion, you are pushing this a bit too fast. I think this is probably gonna crash after 2 waves, but I think this is either a 3-wave crash angle because you know you're not gonna get ganked, or you just keep the wave in the middle as long as possible. I think this kind of gives Kayle unnecessary breathing room. Also, when you hit level 2 here before she did, you could have E'd here and got another really big trade on her. Even if Kayle hits level 2, she doesn't trade back super well. But you could have got another like pretty good trade there in my opinion. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that when you have bone plating, you really want to force trades when your bone plating is up. So like E'ing forward can be a way to do that. And I'm pretty sure Kayle has not popped... Yeah, no, she hasn't popped your bone plating at all yet. So that's like 2 times where you could have taken really good trades. Okay, so you come here and ward, use the prior to ward. I think that's fine. Good, actually. So here, if you're going to do this, if you are going to crash 2 waves early, it should be so that the wave pushes back to you, and then so Kayle can't farm. But instead, you're going to keep pushing. So this, in my opinion, is what Kayle wants. Let's talk about why we normally push mid, and like, why it's valuable, I guess. So like, generally, you want to push mid for a few reasons. It means that the enemy mid can't invade you. It means you can invade the enemy jungle. It means you can go like roam and stuff like that. But in this sort of situation, like none of that is ever going to happen. Your Diana is like an AFK farming jungler. She will never want to invade. Kayle is so weak early that she's never going to invade. And Mundo also is just like full clearing, so he's not going for an invade either. Basically, like because of all this stuff, like because of like the champions, because of the matchups, you're in a situation where everyone here is just playing purely for 1v1, and that means you don't have to push this wave at all. Like you can see, you can't harass Kayle that heavily under her tower, but if this wave pushes to you and it ends up here, Kayle's fucked. Like there's nothing she can do basically. So in this situation, really, you're giving Kayle a lot of breathing room by kind of like spam pushing the wave to her. Also, if you are doing this style, you would want to put points in Q because you'd be mainly playing for poke. But you are clearly playing the all-in style because you're putting points in E. But like you can't, right? Like there's no point having points in E because you're never going to be able to dive her under a tower. So basically, like right now, I think you're kind of like what's it called? Maybe like the way you are playing and the way the game like should be played. At the moment, they're really not synced. You know, there's like you're playing it very desynced. Yeah, that's like the best way I can put it because like, you know, if you had wanted to like heavily harass Kayle on the tower, you'd want to be putting more points in Q. You'd want to be slow pushing bigger waves so you had more time to harass her. But kind of like the way you're playing is like you want this all in. You've got like the bone plating, you've got points in E, and then you're not like facilitating that at all. You've also missed a ton of creeps. Okay, that was very alpha. Honestly, good attempt. I really like that. I think like if you had put 2 points Q, okay, you did. So you... I think... Yeah, if your Q hit, you would have killed her. So I like it. I think this is good. But I think this would be so much easier to do if the wave were in the middle, right? Like, you saw how one-sided that was with her under her tower. Imagine if she instead had to, like, have the wave in the middle here. But I think this was a very good punish by you. Also, another thing would be if you had your bone plating up, it would be a lot better. But I think this is good. I think, like, if you can trade out your sums for Kayle and make her more vulnerable, it's pretty good for you. Although maybe this actually hasn't worked that well for you because she still has enough mana to kind of sustain it. And now you're sort of in a position where it's a bit harder to contest. But let's see. Yeah, again, just like pushing the wave under her tower, using mana on Q, not really a fan. I don't really... Another thing is like, okay, if you are going to want to use your Q this much, you probably want to put a point in W because it gives you like mana regen. So, yeah, not really liking that. You're forced to base first. This shouldn't really be how the matchup goes. I think you've given Kayle a very free lane, and that's pretty problematic because like you scale well, right? But this is a lane where you can have a pretty big lead over her, honestly. Okay, now this is a really good spot. Like the wave is frozen. She didn't push it as fast as she could, and also Diana like held it. So this is a scary spot for Kayle to be in. I think you could just E on her here, honestly. But maybe you're waiting for Diana. Let's see. Diana's here. E. She doesn't have flash, right? I can't remember. Did she flash? I don't think she did. I'm just gonna go back. No, okay, she didn't flash. So she has flash, but I think you could have forced her flash here if you were paying very close attention to Diana's position. I also think if you just like, if you'd eat on her right now when she was facing Diana, I think you probably get her flash. Instead, you can't quite get it. Freezing the wave, I think it's good. Like, right, this is really good. The wave is going to be in a spot where you can easily all in. There's not much you could have... Actually, there is something you could have done about this. So, like, okay, in this situation, because you're not gankable at all, you don't need to worry about so much hugging towards your vision. You know Mundo Kayle has got no CC and you can't really get ganked. In this situation, I think you should be hugging to your jungler anyway, so you should probably be playing on this side of the lane, and I think if you were, you would have been in position to respond to this, because to be honest, like, I think you're a bit blind here. If you had been here, you could have like walked down, you probably could have saved your Diana here. So that sucks, but... Oh, actually, are you gonna get this kill? Okay, you get the kill, but I think we could have got this without Diana dying. Side optimization, you're kind of forced to base here, which sucks, but it's kind of just the way it goes. Okay, this is like another really good spot for you. The wave is on your side, you're gonna have Ignite soon, you have Bone Plating up, you have Noon Quiver. The only thing that's scary here is that Kayle is level 6, but like you still win trades. Okay, that was pretty bad. You need to have your how's it called, your like target champions only key bound. That's really important because like here this guy gets destroyed if you double auto him and PTA proc here, but it actually is just going to be quite hard for you to do it if you don't have the like target champions bound thing, right? You take a very nice trade on here. I think that was smart by you to kind of like not fully commit to that because she's going to ult. She has very strong sustain damage. You traded well with your bone plating there, and I think that's like sort of the perfect situation, right? Like the wave was on your side and you punished really well. So here, I think this is like a bad roam. I think this is a bad roam. Okay, so like you're coming down to this roam, like by the time the fight is basically already over. Like right now, if you just push mid, Kayle loses so much. You can take a tower plate and deny the next wave before Kayle can get back here. Instead, you walk down to this fight that's basically already over. And yeah, you just like don't get anything. What should have happened here? This is a bad time for Kayle to roam because she's gonna miss a whole wave. On top of that, you're a champion that punishes like auto attacks on towers very, very fast. You take at least one play here, probably just one because it's not a cannon wave, and then you shove this next cannon wave immediately after while Kayle's still here, and suddenly you're up 2 full waves on Kayle, like 13 creeps or something, and a tower play. I'd say you just missed out on about a 500 gold advantage, which is like almost 2 kills, right? So literally you walking down this river was a bigger mistake than anything you've made so far, and like you might not have even seen it, right? In my opinion, this was by far the biggest mistake you've made, and it's like almost one of the harder ones to see. So I really want you to realize how much gold you just lost. If you're not sure whether you should go for a roam or not, a good way to kind of like think of it in the moment is just like think of it in terms of gold values. If you go bot, you get a kill, say 300 gold. If you push mid right now, 2 waves plate, like 500 gold. So and also like Kayle doesn't get that gold, right? So it's really, really good for you. And instead you just didn't really pressure anything anyway. Another thing I would say is that like if you're not sure whether you should roam or not, generally it's better just to not roam. Like for roams to be good, they need to be like high percentage roams. If you just go to something and it's like a 50-50 whether it works out, it's not good enough because like you're playing a champion that can very easily generate leads in the 1v1. Like Akshan has good roams, but you don't need to roam. Like you can get plenty of leads in the 1v1 as well. Now Kayle ulted and ghosted bot. We can see this in the chat. Actually, you pinged it, so you're very aware of this. You can definitely get a kill on Kayle at this point. I think you can look for an E right now. Oh my god, I think right now you E, ignite this guy and he's dead. You got it, right? He flashes. You close, very close. Another reason, I think, if you had stayed in lane and you'd been level 7 here, with the extra E damage, you would have killed that guy as well. So that's like another, just like yet another thing, kind of like butterfly effect. You would be so far ahead if you'd done all that. You come back to lane, pushing in, I think that, yeah, there's not much point freezing anymore. Like Kayle doesn't really have difficulties farming from range anymore. And to be honest, I think you still win extended trades against her, but it's not as one-sided as it was before, but still pretty good. I think now you can sort of be looking to spam push in and like harass the tower and stuff because you're just not going to gain as much from freezing anymore. So I think at this point in the lane, yeah, about that like level 7 when Kayle's going to be super safe, you can look. I think you should look for 2 quick orders on the tower here and get that turret plate because you're going to miss 160 gold here. You're looking for a roam here, but I'll say why this is a bad timing. If you're looking for a roam when this tower is already like the creeps are already at your tower, that means that you're in the opposite situation to what that Kayle was just in. If you commit to a roam bot right now, Kayle pushes in and denies you a full cannon wave and then probably 2 plates. So you're going to lose about like 500, 600 gold if you go for a roam right now. So unless you can guarantee that you're getting way more than 600 gold, it's just not going to be good. And because that you're late to this wave, you probably have to give up prio on it as well, but we'll see because you are quite strong. Nice little Q there. Yeah, nice Q. I think you should be pushing this in and looking for this turret play. I don't think you're like have enough pressure to just like all in her now from like, you know, kind of in the way you could before. So I think it would be better to just push this in, knock down this turret plate. So I think here, do you miss this plate? Yeah, you definitely missed that plate there, and you kind of pressured bot side, but like, okay, I understand why you did this because there is pressure that is created from you just like being missing from mid, right? But the problem is that the enemy bot lane's not here. If you're walking down the river with Diana Akshan and the enemy bot lane is under their tower, they're gonna be very, very scared. But problem is, you're just walking down and like pressure a Mundo off the tower. Like he doesn't care. Even if you walk down and kill this Mundo, it doesn't really matter at all. So this is another situation where you should just be playing like purely for your lane. I think you probably could Eon. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're doing it. Very nice. That's really good. Oh, you actually got the kill as well. I thought you just got his ulti. So that was really good punish. I think you recognize that like he had walked up too far basically. Good punish, good punish. This is another situation where I think you're kind of moving for no reason. Kayla's dead for 20 more seconds. So this is a tower, sorry, a turret plate and another wave. So what do you do instead? You just walk bot, basically for no reason. Yeah, okay, this is super, super bad. All that happens here, you have enough gold to buy your item, right? If you just stay in lane for another wave, you push it so Kayle gets denied. If you can't get that turret plate because Mundo's there, that's fine, but you should be able to push in this other wave. Instead, you're going to end up in a situation where you're super behind because like Essentially, rather than farming this wave, Diana was forced to farm it. You're like very, very off tempo. Like Kayle is gonna get a wave of priority over you because you like wasted a bunch of time roaming for some. I don't even know what you were roaming for, but basically you need to like have like way higher percentage roams. Like right now you're just like roaming all the time, and you said in your description that you're wondering if you should roam more. I think you should roam less. You're roaming way too much at the moment. Or it's not so much that you're roaming too much, it's just you're roaming at times when they aren't good, you know? It's not like there should be it shouldn't be like, should I roam a lot or should I not? The answer is just you roam when it's good, you don't roam when it's not good. So you need to learn to recognize when they're good roams and when they're bad roams, basically. This, in my opinion, is a good roam. So you pushed mid-wave, right? The next mid-wave hasn't even spawned yet. It's just now spawning. So this is a good roam because like you're not going to lose anything for it. You pushed and the enemy bot lane is like pushed far up and you're walking to a lane without CC. I think now if you walk back mid, like you can just walk back mid now and farm this wave and it's all good. Like that's why it's a good roam, because like even if they had overstayed, you would have killed them. If it's not, you can walk back mid. I think this is pretty bad, honestly, that you like overstayed here. The thing is, when you go for a roam, the most important thing is actually not getting the kill. It's actually denying the CS. So you roam bot, you're like roaming bot to kill Lucian and deny CS ideally, right? But Lucian's already dead and he's already going to be denied the CS. So you coming bot now just to try kill this Braum, it doesn't matter because like he doesn't care about losing CS and the kill on Braum doesn't really matter. So instead, you have walked bot and you've lost your entire HP bar and you died to Braum. This is really bad because Kayle shoved in, I believe, a cannon wave, can't quite tell. I think it was a cannon wave. She took a turret play, 2 turret plays, and denied you another wave. So you just like walked, like you had a good roam, you committed halfway, Lucian died, you go back mid, and Kayle instead just got like another 500 or 600 gold. That's like really, really bad. And it's gonna make playing against like a scaling champion very difficult because you should be way, way stronger than you are now. You should be way, way more ahead in gold. So this is like another time where it could be a good run because like you're leaving, the wave is just now crossing the tier 3 tower. Okay, looks good. But why is this a bad run? I would say it's because you've seen Mundo down here. So you know when you're roaming bot here that it's just a 3v3. Your jungler is topside. Generally, you don't want to roam to somewhere where you know the enemy jungler is and your jungler isn't, because at best it's an even numbers fight. And unless you're super, super strong, you're not going to be able to turn it much in your favor. So I don't really like that roam that you look for. I think you could have committed to this. Where did we just saw Mundo just then. He's pretty far away. I think you could have kept fighting this guy. You have a ward and you know Mundo can't be here. Maybe you got a bit scared of the bot lane, but I think you could have kept fighting there. You would have to be quite aware, so I understand like in the moment maybe why you didn't do that. But I think if you like not chased them fully down the river but committed more to the extended trade, I think that would have been fine. Maybe look for a kill on this guy. Yep, you have the right idea. What's your flash? I mean, honestly, not the biggest deal. I think that's like actually pretty good. That means like she can't really stand on the tower unless she gets jungle help. You should be able to get out of this. Good. Oh wait. How did this happen? You don't have E. You have Q. You should Q this Mundo right now for the move speed. And then I'm pretty sure you should E off this wall, but it might be sort of hard, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, you did, but it was like a little bit late. You should always be queuing for movement speed. I think if you get the movement speed, you probably get out of here. Yeah, I think you probably get out of here. If you want to know, like, okay, that was like a mechanical thing you could have done better, but I'd say the reason why you die in terms of like a macro reason is that you're like pushing and Eing in really aggressively when you have, when your Diana is like off, basically like, okay, when your Diana's showing top, that means that there's no chance of a counter gank mid. So if an enemy comes mid, they don't need to be scared of your jungler at all. And also like, you have no vision on either side of mid, so basically this is like the most risky like part of like time for you to be aggressive. So you should maybe like, if you are going to be aggressive, just like be a little more careful about like where your jungler is and where your vision is, because like you play like super aggressive, and then you get punished for it. And again, like Kayle sort of gets to just like scale for free. So you come, and this is fine, you're just coming on the map. It's gonna be hard for you to play aggressive on Kayle at the moment. You take this tower, this is good. See, this is kind of like what you should have been doing in lane. Like, if Kayle leaves the lane like this, where it's even, and you just push, you get so much gold. Like, you got that tower, you got all those waves in. So that was really good. That's like the sort of thing that you could have done in laning phase. Let me just D&D my Discord real quick, because it's popping off. Sorry about that. Okay. So, let's see. Wait, actually, just let me check something. Sorry to interrupt again. Okay, anyway, back to normal. So, let's see, what did you do here? You caught this bot wave. I think you should push another. I don't think you need to be scared here. The reason is that, like, you know Mundo just died on the top side. So, like, you should know that no one can really be here to punish you at the moment. Which means you can continue to push this wave further in. Instead, you're like... Oh, actually, you're... Oh, wait, your team wants to do Baron. Okay, if your team wants to do Baron, you should definitely walk to this. I didn't realize that was what was going on. Okay, so you're definitely right to move to this. See what happens here. I think you 1-for-1 maybe? Okay, so how did this happen? I think you need to think about when you're going to engage here. The thing is, like, you're more of a secondary engage champ. You want something like Diana to engage, but Diana's already pretty low. It's actually quite risky if you go in on this, because like they have a Braum and Kayle for peel. I think if you'd actually waited a bit more, waited for them to commit, you probably could have got a better angle. Also, you could have waited just a little bit longer so that you had flash at the end of it. Because I think like you go here and ignite this guy, but you don't have any flash. Like, if you'd gone 2 seconds later and you can, like, flash one of these walls, I think it looks a lot better. Oh my, did Kayle get a quadra? You're pretty fed. Oh, why is it black? Okay, anyway, you're back in. So I think, like, yeah, that team fight could have been played a little bit better, but the biggest thing is just, like, how far behind you are compared to where you should be. I think you're probably right that there honestly isn't much to this now. I feel like you're just, like, mega outscaled. Like, they have Mundo Kayle. Windermere, like, they have a mega scaling comp, and I'm not sure much else will matter here, but I'm just gonna like skim through it and take a look. But for you, it was mainly your early game. There was a lot to work on. Okay, so like this is gonna be a better fight, because like you have a flank from Diana, and also you're going on Lucian when he's like separated from the people that are peeling. So I can just tell already that this will work out. Like, okay, you did not need to flash forward there. Okay, if you're at this point, you just take this, like, right? You don't need to flash after this guy. You can literally just, like, walk down or flash down if you have to, and it's, like, really good. Like, you've chunked this Lucian out to the point where he's now useless, but instead you, like, flash in and you just, like, die. I don't think... Like, a 1-for-1 is not bad, because, like, you guys are pretty behind, right? But it could be a lot better. It doesn't need to be a 1-for-1. So, yeah, I think that could be a lot better. I think your build... Yeah, I mean, I think your build's good, to be honest. They essentially have double AP mid jungle. They have tanks, so I like your build. Let's see what happened here. You have ignite. You ignite early, smart. This guy should die. Yeah, nice, you played that well. Oh my god. So I think your E here was sort of bad, like mechanically, right? I don't think it's the main issue. I think the main issue from a macro sense is that, like, okay, your jungler is farming bot, so like the fact that you got a pick here is quite good, and you can just take that. But also that you're chasing into an area with no vision, which is very, very scary. Like, you don't have blue ward up. You could pink over one of these walls, but yeah, you have to walk quite close to it. So like, even though you messed up mechanically, I think like the fight is bad from this point. After you kill the Mundo, the fight is bad after, because you have to like push in really deep into no vision. You have the Diana that's like not even here. So like, no matter how you play this mechanically, it's just bad anyway. So yeah, there's like not really that much to say there. What happens here? Another pick on Mundo. Can you even kill this guy now? So strong. Holy shit, you actually just don't do any damage to him. Yeah, I mean, I guess you guys are just like turbo outscaled. That's actually sort of crazy. But let's just see, is there anything else? I don't want to like give anything. Twitch and you can actually kill them together. Okay, so kill this guy, you get the res. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Okay, so let's talk about the nodes. So the early game, your early game has a lot. So I'll quickly say some stuff you do well in the early game is you have a good idea of when you can punish him. Like there's a lot of times where you E on him and you take really, really good trades. So I like that. Like you're obviously good enough at Akshan that you can like recognize these windows and stuff. But the problem is that in your early game, you're making it so hard to actually create these windows for yourself. So you need to be like very mindful of your wave control. So there's like a lot of times where Akshan wants the wave in the middle or on his side, but you're pushing it a lot, and that's making it like way harder for you to take these E trades when you're against champions in a very weak early game, or even champs in a normally strong early game but sort of suffer against all ins. So a champion like Orianna, for example, has a strong early game, but she like has a strong early game because she can poke people, not because she has good all ins. If you extended trade against an Ori, you'll just destroy her pre-6, right? In a lot of these, you actually want to like freeze or pull the wave. Not always, right? Not always, but in a lot of these matchups, especially if you're going the Emax build, it's going to allow you to trade a lot better. There was also like your CSing could be a lot better. I'm not sure if this was just a one game thing, so this is kind of going to be up to you to evaluate, but you do just miss a lot of CS from right clicking. And so like if that is the problem for you, I would say go to the practice tool and just like practice CSing on Akshan for like 5 or 10 minutes a day. And you'll probably see a big improvement, but it's sort of up to you whether or not that's like a really big thing for you or not. I think the warding was pretty good. Let's actually just go back so I can kind of like remind myself of what happened. I feel like I talked about a lot of it at the time, but now that I'm thinking back, I actually can't remember what I said. Oh yeah, you need to like, okay, use your bone plating proactively. So like a lot of people see bone plating as like, it's a defensive room, but it's actually not. It's the other way around. Every time you have bone plating up, it allows you to take a trade like an absolute psychopath, because like there's no way for people to trade back against it. So you should look to be like really aggressive when you have your E up, basically. Yeah, so all this was kind of a product of your wave control already. I guess like going back to being very mindful of your wave control is also identifying. Wait, is that, yeah, maybe. Identifying what like wave control, or what wave state like your champ versus their champ wants. So like if you're against a champion that you can harass under tower, then it's fine to push. And also above that, and also well, I'll type it next to it. Also the jungle matchup. So this is as a lane where like the junglers are playing for 1v1, you're playing for 1v1. You can afford to be very greedy with your wave, and also I think that comes with like understanding what prior was actually used for. So in this situation, you can't really use your prior for anything, so you don't need it. Basically, you want the wave on your side. You've been punishing very well, so that's cool. Oh, I think here, yeah, this was another thing, is like hugging to the correct side. So one thing I say to a lot of people is a habit they can get into is whenever a new wave comes out, so like let's say here, right? When you notice the new wave coming in, so the new wave just came to your lane, every time that comes out, you can use it to set up a habit with it. So every time this wave comes out, you could think, okay, like what side do I need to hug, or like what side is my vision? I talked about this in my jungle tracking and warding video, but hugging to the correct side is pretty important. So like here, you definitely should have been hugging to your jungler. I think you could have saved him there, so that's like another big thing that you could work on. I think this was mainly all good. You realize the extended trades. There was the target champions only thing, but like not a big deal, honestly. Okay, yeah, the roaming thing was huge. So this was probably the biggest thing. You need to like really realize like what bad roams. So like what are bad roams? Like okay, well actually good roams are like enemy no sums, pushed up, like they're overextended, like your wave is pushed, like all that sort of stuff. Like these are good roams, right? But instead, like you took roams that were really bad. You're roaming here to a lane where the enemies are all currently full HP. The wave is on their side, and like you can take so much. And also so going on with this, like punishing bad roams. Like, this is a situation where Kayle roamed at a very bad time. You should realize the value of turret plates plus waves. So, like, there were maybe two times or maybe 3 times where there were like massive gold swings, either for you or for Kayle, of people just pushing the wave, and that's what should have happened. That's where you could have built some of those really big leads. So you were worried about roaming too much, but you need to take way better roams. There's no such thing as roaming too much or too little. There's literally only like roaming at bad times and roaming at good times. So you need to, I'd say, well, I'll tell you how to work on this in a sec, but it's like going to be very, very important for you basically. Yeah, I think that was mainly it for the early game, and honestly that was mainly it for a lot of the game. The roaming is like the biggest thing. I think you roamed way too much. And like, okay, this was another thing. It's also like, I guess like if you do roam, like recognizing, I guess like, what's it called? Like recognizing what you need out of the roam. So like if you're roaming bot, it's to kill the ADC and deny CS. Once this has already occurred, like killing Braum and denying Braum CS, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. This is like the worst possible roam because you're like, it was good at the start, I remember, because you had roamed like when they were pushed up. Like, okay, I'll just reiterate this. This was a really good roam at the start. They're pushed up. You don't need to push your wave, and you're like going to people that are low HP. So it's really good, right? But after the ADC dies, you should just walk back mid. Instead, you lose your entire health pool. You lose 3 plates mid and 2 waves. It's just like, I would say that's like, I mean, you've already made a lot of mistakes, right? But this is game over. Like, that is just, it's so bad. It really is. So that was mainly it for the early game. I'll talk about the mid game. There was less stuff in the mid game, mainly because you guys were just already kind of getting destroyed. I think you should be a bit more patient in team fights. You should think about like, I don't know, I guess like maybe plan your team fights a bit in ahead. Like there's a time where you're flashing after the Lucian. You don't really need that. You can accept a small win. There was also the time here that you could have waited a tiny bit longer for your flash. And you could have waited for someone else like the Swain or the Diana to engage. I think you should have been a bit more patient. I also think you should, there were some times I think where you should have been pushing the side wave more. It's like, that was good. Remember that was good. Oh yeah, that's right. There was the Baron thing. So I'd say like there wasn't that much in the mid game. Like to be honest, we just didn't get to see much of the mid game because you're already just getting destroyed. See that? Oh yeah, actually there was that one thing like I guess this goes like identifying like good/bad team fights. So a lot of the times you will see mechanical mistakes in team fights, and like people will very much like zero in or focus in on the mistake, where really the mistake comes before it. So like for example, this fight that you took in this topside jungle where you were chasing into an area with no vision, and when your Diana was on the other side of the map, no matter how you play it mechanically, it's always going to be a bad fight, which means if you want to win this fight, you need to play it like perfectly. Basically, you need to go above and beyond to like make this a bad fight, and it's much easier, or sorry, to make that a good fight. And so it's much easier if you just don't take that fight to begin with. I think even a challenger Akshan would not win that situation, but they would just not take it pretty much. So how you work on these, or like things to work on and how to work on them, I think for you, you should like, okay, mainly you should be like you should just, I don't know, think way more about your wave control. You don't need to always push, and a lot of the times you will want like the wave on your side. Also, I think like at the start of the game, or actually I'll just put in loading screen, think about the wave state thing. So just like this thing here, identifying the wave state, like what their champ wants, what your champ wants, you can do this in the loading screen and kind of make a plan about what you want to do with your waves. I think also the roaming. So if you are going to go for roams, I think this is something where in the replay afterwards, just have a quick look and be like check if your roam was good/bad. I think it's going to take some time for you to kind of like, you know, get used to like the roaming checklist, and maybe like something you can do in game though is I guess just like realize the value of like what you can get if you don't roam. And if you're not sure, I would say just push mid, because like pushing mid is like a guaranteed pretty high value, whereas roaming is like sometimes really high value, but a lot of the time there's just nothing. So it's really important that in your like post, if you are going to watch your own replays, literally just take like 5 seconds to like check your roams and see if they were good or bad. See what you lost for it, see what kind of like things were happening on the map, and also see what you could have gotten if you hadn't gone for it. Honestly, I would just say you're CSing. Like, if this is a thing for you, you should just go like 5 or 10 minutes in practice tool and just like, I don't know, just like work on it. I think you don't really need to put much thought into it. I think if you work on these things, you'll see like a really big improvement, specifically in the roaming and the wave control. I think those are like by far your two biggest issues, at least out of this game. So I think, yeah, if you have any questions about those, just let me know. I'll copy paste this all to you on Fiverr as well, if you don't want to screenshot it here. So you can like copy paste it down. But yeah, like really focus on these things. If you have any questions, let me know on Discord or Fiverr. Yeah, I hope it was really helpful for you. And I really think you'll make quite a lot of improvement. So yeah, thanks for getting some coaching. I'm looking forward to your climb. Good luck.